Welcome creative friends, Edna Edie here from The Creativity Activist. Today I'm doing an unveiling of a stack of paper dyeing that I did a couple of weeks ago at a demo day at Daisy Chain Scrapbooks. So this uses a bulk dyeing method for papers. I like to use a 5-4-3 ratio, which is 5 tablespoons of coffee, 4 cups of water and 3 tea bags. Make it hot. Make up a soup. It is very dark because it's going through multiple layers of paper, and I'm using just little same old everyday copy paper. I did in this stack also use, you might be able to see some tinges of pink there, some Distress Oxide spray from Tim Holtz from Ranger, and left this out to dry. And then it's just a case of doing an unveiling. So I thought it might be fun just to do that unveiling, particularly for those who attended the demo day. So the notion here is I use 4 pieces of paper in between stencils, and both upwards and downwards from the stencil you get different types of ghosting, and you can see different parts of the stencil pattern coming through. Some pink tinges in this. As I said, I did use some pink spray as well as the tea as I went along. So as you get closer to the stencil, it's less of a ghosting and more of natural stenciling. You can see some pink tinges in there, and you can see these stencils. Now this particular stencil here, I won't be surprised if it sticks to the paper, because it actually has a lot of leftover paint on the other side of it. So yeah, some of that paper will stick to that, but that'll just come off with a bit of water. And this was the other stencil that I used, and you can see really good impressions of those directly just underneath where the stencil was laying. So you can pile this up as high as you like. You do tend to get to a point where it's on both sides of the paper, which is fun. And as you get close to the stencils below it, you will get a combination of the stencils coming through, and it does make the paper quite sturdy, as is normally the case when you dye paper. And then you get closer to this next stencil down, you can see the upper stencils and the lower stencils all coming through on that one piece of paper there with this stencil. And then directly below that, getting quite crunchy in there now because these would have been very waterlogged at the time. You can see quite a strong impression there. And I make envelopes and all sorts of things out of these papers. Lots of junky type journaling. Good times, people, good times. It keeps going. We'll just whip through, so you can see it gets lighter as it goes further away from the stencil. And you can see the stencil underneath starting to come through now. So getting a blend of those stencils. It's fun. You never know what you're going to get. The closer you get, the more of that stencil. It's like a cowhide stencil. And then below that, you're getting strength in that number there. Very mottly, which is fun, particularly with that style of stencil. Nice, very nice. And then both the stencils coming through in that piece there, and then it's this stencil here. And as I have used some A4 stencils the same size as the paper, and then I've used some smaller stencils. Any stencil that you've got, anything with texture actually, but it is better if it's plastic in nature because then the moisture pools around it quite nicely. This is getting to the bottom of the stack now. Gets quite heavy because that's where all of the moisture leaches out and eventually dries out. Lots of fun and a good way to bring together stencils and paper for mass dyeing. Hope you've enjoyed having a look at the reveal, particularly those who saw this come together on the day. Give this a go. Use colour and water and paint if you're not into the tea stained look, or any type of dye ink and water, and you'll get coloured paper instead of tea stained. Have fun with this process. Enjoy.